Everyone, how's it going? We're going to start in about 7 minutes here, 8 minutes or so. If you guys can see me, if you guys can hear me, raise your hand, press the raise hand button, make sure the stuff's actually working. Thank you for raising your hand. And while we wait, it's good to hear from everyone to just write in where you're coming from right now, because I'm always keen to see whether people are coming in from Europe, South America, wherever, maybe staying up extra late just to listen to this. Really appreciate that. So we got Miami, we got Puerto Rico, Gabrielle. Who else we got? Philippines, Saskatchewan, Canada, did I pronounce that right? Palestine, Scotland, Calgary, Northern Sweden. Alex from New Jersey, great. By the way, we're also broadcasting this on YouTube as well. And this is my first time showing my face while we do this. I think, if we're having any bandwidth issues, I might have to take it away, but that would be cool to do that. And while we wait, I mean, like for those of you coming into this, you saw the title for this, you saw the bunch of email blasts. I think most of you should know, or be familiar with at least some of our content. What are you guys looking to get out of this training ultimately? What's the goal? Anybody? Different understanding of SEO, okay. Current methods of SEO, long-term sticky traffic, okay, great. Enhance e-commerce website presence online, okay. Learn how to rank for keywords, awesome. And Doug, I think you picked up our content marketing course, right? So thank you for that. Mark on content marketing and on-site SEO blogs, great. I need to look. Actually, I need to look for a UA on my team really quick. UA, I'm going to make you a panelist. Lower your hands. Look at that. It's cool. Okay. Let's see. All of the above. Okay, great. Well, those of you that are just joining us right now, get some water, sit tight. Training's probably going to last for, God, I don't know how long, but you're going to get a lot out of it. But go use the restroom, go take a break, go get some coffee, whatever it is exactly. And so those of you that are looking to grow your traffic right now, I'm curious, what are you guys doing on the SEO and content front right now? Like, are you guys producing just blog content? Are you doing video? Are you doing podcasts? Like, what are you doing exactly? Okay, blogging. So it seems like everyone's doing blogging, right? And I like blogging and video creation. So there's actually there's 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 7 that are doing blogging and video. So when you guys are saying you're doing video right now, what are you doing? What are you doing exactly? Are you posting it to YouTube? Like, what's going on there? It seems like everyone's doing video. Wow. Website content, working on product promotion. That's everything I'm doing. Okay, cool. Cool. And while we wait, I mean, what kind of, when you say you're doing blogging too, how often are you guys doing blogging, and is it, what kind of blog content is it exactly? Because that can really range across the board. So it's really good. By the way, it's not like I'm just asking these questions just for the hell of it. I'm genuinely curious. So that can guide kind of the content we create in the future. Oh, wow. Good job, Alex. So using the things he learned from Neil, he was able to position his local business on page 1 for a lot of main keywords. Great. Becky, that's a great solution. Using Ask the Public to look for blog content. Awesome. Angelique blogs every day on entertainment and influencer marketing. That's great. Thank you, Alex, for being a customer on the course. I'm just looking at all the people coming in right now. We'll probably give it like 3-4 more minutes or so, just because there's like 500 people registered. before we get going. Colleen writes blogs for insurance, healthcare, and software clients. Oh, great. So you are doing, Colleen, you're doing like content writing services, right? Great. And by the way, I mean, Colleen, I think if you're looking for more clients, I always talk about on the Marketing School podcast, I talk about using ProBlogger. That's a great spot to go if you're looking for, potentially new clients. Oh, be right back. So we're gonna get started in a second, but my food just arrived. 1 second. See, look at this. This is another hack over here. Maybe I'll do another training on this in the future. But yeah. All right. That was me getting food, by the way. That was whoever said that. Alex. Was it Alex? Yeah. That was my cook dropping off food. And so, like, one of the way that works is basically, I'll teach you guys a little something while we wait for 2 minutes or so. But one of my friends, I thought it was always really bougie for people to order food. It's like, oh, you have a cook. And I realized, like, all the time I spend thinking about food actually costs a lot of time. Like, the decision I'd like, let's say even if I like order delivery or whatever, like I need to think about it. I need to wait for it. I need to give them instructions and all that. But if you actually just post like a job listing to Craigslist or whatever, and then you set the pricing and all that. Basically, I have food that arrives on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I can set it for my preferences, and it actually is cheaper than having to go through the process of making it myself and all that. So, like, I can just eat really quick and then get back to work. Yeah, and that's how it works. And it's been one of the biggest hacks for the year. So non-marketing related, but helps with business. I think ultimately, if you're able to if you're fortunate enough to be able to control your environment there. Anyway, so I am actually going to go ahead and get started. So when you guys can see my slides, go ahead and hit the raise hand button. And then we will go from there. So let's go ahead and share screen. And then I'm gonna hit share computer sound. Let's do that. And if you guys can see my screen, raise your hand. Thank you. All right, without further ado, here we go. Oh, Brandon Staffer's in here. Look at that double raised hand from Brandon Staffer. You can see my face too, Brandon. So here we go. We're going to talk about the modern SEO methods for long-term traffic. And my ultimate goal, I always say on these trainings, is for me to give you one thing to do. If you can just go out there and do one thing, you're good to go. So just a little background on myself. I always do introductions really quick, just in case you came in from some random spot. Some of you came in from the ManyChat bot too. So I thought that was really interesting. So those of you that are interested in ManyChat, by the way, about a 30% registration or attendee or registration rate, I should say. So anyway, let's go ahead and get going. So I have a podcast with Neil. Most of you know this already. Actually just recorded with him yesterday. And we have a podcast called Marketing School. We do it every single day. And even if you get nothing from this training, if you just go listen to this, guaranteed you're going to get something, okay? I just want someone to get some kind of value. And then I also have a podcast I've been doing for close to 5 years now. This one is called Growth Everywhere. And this is a weekly one where I interview a lot of different entrepreneurs. Newsflash on this one, we're probably going to rebrand it soon, and it's going to tie in more with my long-term vision. So we'll see where that goes. And my first question for you is ultimately, you can type into the chat right now, how quickly do you want to grow your traffic? Is it, are you trying to grow 10x, 100x, whatever it is exactly? Be realistic. In the next like 30, 60, 90 days or so, how quickly do you want to grow your traffic? Type it in the chat. I'll take a look at it in a little bit. And we also have UA from my team, kind of, monitoring questions. And I'll jump into questions from time to time, mainly so I can get a drink of water so I don't parch myself out. So here we go. So I think a really easy way to look at all this is when you first start doing anything at all, you start out as baby Mario, right? You're like, you have nothing going on for you. But the problem is, like, you look at everyone else out there that's super successful, they're doing well with their business already, and then like you want to go to this. Like, it's just not realistic to go from baby Mario to muscle Mario, right? It takes, like, there's like this whole process between, but like we always just look at other people's end results. Like, oh, Neil Patel has 1 million visits on QuickSprout, 1 million visits on neilpatel.com. Like, oh, it's just because he's Neil. But it's like, what like frameworks did he use? Because like he was ultimately able to do the same thing multiple times for different blogs, right? Same thing for what we're doing, same thing for what we do for other people too. So my ultimate goal here is to just sit through this training. I'm going to show you how to get there. Ultimately, I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a little step-by-step, frameworks on how to do it. But ultimately, I think, you saw the podcast I do a little earlier, but it's like, why should you even listen to this guy that's talking on the screen right now? So here's an example. Here's an example of a site. This is just looking at the organic traffic, and we use the playbook, the same playbook we use for ourselves, right? We just change it up a little bit each time. But look at the traffic. It's been going up and to the right, 669,000 visits per month. Now we look at this one. Look at this one, 45 million visits per month, okay? And we look at this one. This is actually our site, and it's actually shot up to about 120,000 visits a month. So props to the content team. They're doing a great job. But it's like we've been doing it over and over. And then like we take the playbook, and we don't just do it for organic traffic, for SEO traffic, for content marketing traffic, but we also do it for our podcast too. Like, look, this is in May. We hit 682,000 downloads per month. And if we just monetize that, I think that podcast would make about $400,000 a year. But we don't monetize it right now. That's a story for another time. But I like to show the numbers here because the proof is in the pudding. Like, there's other people out there when you see them run Facebook ads, it's like, oh, let me show you how to do it all. Let me show you how to make an e-commerce store. Let me show you how to run paid ads. But it's like, at the end of the day, like who have they done it for? And what kind of proof do they have? So I always like showing the proof. Proof is in the pudding. Okay. So my promise to you is a growth framework. Everything is around education. Everything I've done, everything that I've had success with, even the failures too, is all hovered around education. Yes, there is going to be a special offer for you at the end, but you're also going to learn a lot too, right? So think about this. You're going to get a growth framework from this training that you can deploy over and over again, okay? And then I get this question all the time. It's crazy. About a year and a half ago, I actually got in a debate with people on my team. We put all this money into content marketing, but what's the ROI of content marketing? And that's a question that actually, I don't know if you guys watch Family Guy, but it really grinds my gears, right? So, ultimately, my main thing is just, I feel like I have a chip on my shoulder when it comes to people asking this question. So I feel like I have something to prove each and every time someone asks me, like, what's the ROI of content marketing, right? It's like everything that we do is around content marketing. All the success that we've had is because of content marketing. And when I say content marketing, yes, I'm referring to SEO, blog posts, things like that, but I'm also talking about video. I'm talking about podcasts too, okay? So what has it done? Great. You have Neil and I speaking at different conferences around the world, right? We throw our own events in LA, spoke in Arizona as well. And then also I got to speak in Japan. Like, I was going to Japan for vacation. Somebody found out I was going, and I actually got to speak in Japan. And that was a pretty fun experience. And I got to speak in Brazil too. Look at my serious face over there. And then all over the US too, and also internationally. Got to speak in Poland, going to be in Dublin, going to be in Ukraine, just everywhere, okay? But it's like, okay, Eric, that's great, you're speaking, but how much money do you make, right? So it's like, okay, look at our clients: Uber, Amazon, Salesforce, Trustpilot. We look at Lyft, all these other clients that we have, speaking of some of the largest, hedge funds in the world or financial firms in the world that all of you know, guaranteed. And it's just, everything comes from inbound. Look at our clientele, everything we've done, the framework, you can literally do the same thing. Whether you want to acquire clients for your services business, you want to acquire more customers for your products, whatever it is exactly, this framework works. It's not like I'm doing any black magic or anything like that, okay? So if I'm able to deliver $1 million in value to you, would that be okay? And even then, even if we just cut it by 10, divide it by 10, if I was able to deliver $100,000 in value, raise your hand if you would pay 10 grand for 100 grand or $1 million. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a rhetorical question, right? I'm pretty sure like that's all of you guys raising your hand. And Brandon, thank you for raising your hand first. I'll give you a kiss when I see you. But so like, here's the thing, right? So the one thing we understand when it comes to business is that it's 600 to 700% more expensive to acquire a new customer versus retaining a new one. Newsflash, I'm not giving you anything new at all, right? But it's like, we all know that, but we don't really apply it to how we do marketing. And there's a reason, like, I'll give you a story really quick. I hate credit card companies and I hate cable companies because they always have these new offers coming out. Oh, here's 100,000 points extra, or 50,000 points here, or da-da-da-da-da, right? And it's like, well, like I call them and it's like, well, you know, can I get in on an offer too? I've been a credit card member for 5 years. It's like, nope, it's only for new members. It's like if you're pampering me more, maybe I would spend more money with you, right? Like, you know, Amex actually does a pretty good job. But if you look at like other credit cards or cable companies out there, they just won't hook it up. They're like, once they acquire a new customer, they're just going to go try to acquire other customers instead of just taking care of what they have already. So my kind of, you know, the mind shift around this is just like, you know, think about that in a business respect, but also think about how you can do that, apply that to from a marketing perspective too, right? Think about tending to your garden. Think about making the most of what you have already versus trying to do new stuff all the time, because you're just going to be competing with everyone else, right? So we've established that, you know, these credit card companies, cable companies, they do a horrific job of retaining people, okay? And frankly, I mean, most people do a terrible job of thinking in terms of maximizing their current customer base when it comes to content and SEO. So without further ado, you know, we can get started. I'm going to give you the one tactical thing that's immediately going to help you right now, okay? So Amazon Poly, you know, I talked about this. I've been talking about this more recently, but what we basically did with Amazon Poly was we took their API and we just took a WordPress plugin and we plugged it to our site across the entire blog, all our blogs. And basically you can see there's a play button over here. It takes all of our blog posts and it makes them into audio. Okay. So when you visit our site on mobile, for example, maybe you don't want to read the whole thing because a lot of our posts are about 1,500 to 2,000 words or so, or even more than that. You just hit the play button and you listen to it. That's it, right? It's easy, okay? And it's like, okay, well, Eric, what does that do for SEO? Because like, can't Google not crawl audio right now? You're right. The cool thing is when you add a play button like that to your site, it actually increases the dwell time on your site by 20%. At least for us, you know, your mileage may vary. Maybe this might not work for you at all. I'm telling you, we've rolled this out for our site, maybe a couple other sites too. And it is paying dividends, okay? Just think about that little experience change you add for people. You know, people talk about voice search all the time, this, that, right? You know, look, you're just ultimately trying to deliver a better experience. Now is my time to actually send you a poll question so I can actually get a drink of water. So here's the poll. The poll, I'm gonna start it right now. Launching it, I'm gonna launch it for 30 seconds. And the question is, how much revenue did your company do last year? I guess it gives you 3 questions. So we're gonna leave this open for, you know, maybe 30 more seconds. All right, we'll be closing in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That was totally not my intention. I wanted to do 3 separate questions so I get 3 separate water breaks. But let me share the results with you right now. So 33% of you are under 100K. Everybody else is, well, actually about like 51% of you are under 1 million. The rest of you are actually 1 million and up, which is pretty cool. And then in terms of SEO traffic, you guys having come into your site, about 81% of you are under 25K and the rest of you are above that. And then how many of you actually run experiments, SEO experiments? 39% of you do and 61% of you don't. So we're gonna change that. We're gonna talk about how you can actually run experiments through this training, if that's cool with you guys. All right, so we talked about Amazon Poly a little bit, and feel free to ask questions as we continue to go through this. You guys can still see my screen? Yes, raise your hand. Okay, great. So the secret to maximizing your content. So we talked about tending to your garden. We talked about how it's 6 to 7x more expensive to have to go through the hamster wheel of having to acquire new customers all the time. So the secret to maximizing your content, I like talking about this all the time, is if you look at Wikipedia, how is it that they're always ranking number 1, number 2, number 3 across the board for like everything, right? Like Abraham Lincoln, how are they number 1, right? So Abraham Lincoln, 16th president of the United States, great guy. What happened was, if we actually look at the history of that page, in 2007, 13,000 words. In 2011, 18,000 words. In 2014, 20,000 words. And then in 2017, 24,000 words, okay? So if we look at this really quick, let's look at this blog post. This is one of our most successful blog posts, and it talks about 10 different digital marketing companies. And so we talk about like Uber's campaigns, Amex campaigns, like all these different campaigns out there. And when it first started, that post was only getting about 700 visits a month. Okay, so this is 2016. Like, okay, let's start to see if we can make it a little better. So what we did was we made it a little better. We added more paragraphs to it. Maybe we deleted some stuff that's maybe out of date, and the traffic went up by 4x. Okay, so we went up from 700 to basically 2,800, right? So that's not all, but like we looked at it a little later. It's like, well, what more can we do with this? So we upgraded it again. We added more content to it and jumped up from 700 to 5,400 visits a month. Okay, that's a pretty good increase. So how many of you would actually settle for this right now? Like you're pretty good with the 7x increase just by doing this stuff, right? I like that. Like it's like you guys can actually see me. So when I raise my hand, you guys raise your hand too. That's awesome. Like a high five. Anyway, so 7x increase, but we decided to take it a little further too. It's like, okay, Brandon, thank you for raising your hand last. So look at this. As of yesterday, I checked this and look, it jumped up to 10,000 visits a month. Okay, 13.6x increase. Just by tending to your garden, just by managing what you have already, just by having a framework to do it, it makes your life a lot easier. Okay, and I'm not saying you don't need to produce new content. I'm not saying you don't need to build links. Those two are the two most important factors when it comes to SEO. Yes, absolutely do those things. But just look at this. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're going to ask me, like, what the ROI of content marketing is. I'm just going to send this webinar every single time people ask me what's the ROI of content marketing, okay? 13.6x increase. And then over here, content updates, right? We did this. We measured this in 2016. And, like, yes, we did it by hand, okay? It was annoying to do. But you can see, okay, green, like 100% success rate. You have nothing to argue with. That's why I like numbers, because once people try to argue with you, you show them numbers, they can't really say anything, okay? So anyway, got the education around this. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. Like the fact that I'm able to share this with you right now, and then hopefully you guys take action from it. That's ultimately what this stuff is all about. It's just paying it forward. So also it's like, whoa, Eric, like you got traffic, but what's the ROI of the traffic? Well, okay, it actually drives consultation leads for the agency. So on the agency side of things, if you look at the bottom right over there where it says 6, if you look at the red box, yes, that blog post drives free consultation leads. And if our free consultations are worth, let's say, $500 a pop, that is $3,000 a month, okay? So don't tell me content marketing doesn't pay off. It actually does. And so what I like to talk about is, a framework. And I use this framework quite often. And I talk about this so much that recently I got, I was fortunate enough to be thrown into the Intercom Growth Handbook. And this framework actually popped up in there just because I talk about it so much. So this is the content reusage workflow. I'm going to show you how you can use it really quick. And you can, take a screenshot if you want, whatever it is. But basically the idea is that you start from the very top right. Is this topic covered by existing content, right? And let's say I have a blog post out there. Let's take that digital marketing post. If it's outdated, if we update it, that's one action I can take. That's the very first diamond that you see in the top right. If it's up to date, great. Let's move on to the next section. Is it incomplete? Can I add more to it? Let's go ahead and expand it. And we do this a lot, right? If you look at Amazon Poly, that's also a method of kind of expanding it or adding like videos to the bottom of the post. We do that a lot to increase the dwell time on the site, also to make it more comprehensive for people. Okay, great. Let's say you've expanded already. Let's move on to the next one. Can it be covered in a different format? So, there's a girl here. Her name is Shalene Johnson, and she used to do Facebook Lives all the time, and she would make that Facebook Live, convert them into separate videos, right? Like separate topics, right, into different videos, and then into different blog posts as well, and then into different social media posts, right? So then you have a framework you can follow. Like you start with this one, like, maybe you start with this one webinar first, right? Webinar, and then like, separate topics, right, into video, and then into blog posts too, and then into social media, right? Just keeps going and going and going. That way, you don't need to stress yourself and your team out all the time on having to rethink and reinvent the wheel each and every time. Does that make sense? Cool. So since I'm out of poll questions, I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay. So here's an example. Like marketing school, every single day. My God, we've been doing it for close to 2 years now. Maybe, yeah, close to 2 years. So look, Google's not able to crawl the audio, right? So what we did was we have all the show notes transcribed. We have a show notes person too, and it just keeps getting published to marketingschool.io. That's just an example of reformatting it, right? You look at the third diamond over there, we're reformatting it. And it doesn't even look that good. Like it looks like garbage. That's our first logo. Like, yes, things have changed a little bit. But look at that. We didn't build any links at all to that site, and it's just pure content, and the traffic just keeps going up and to the right. And one thing we're going to test soon is like, how can we expand upon, the content that we have already and basically use that framework, right? So that framework makes your life a lot easier. And you don't necessarily need to use that. You can just say, okay, I'm going to take some inspiration from it and then draw up your own framework, draw up your own process so other people can follow it. That's the key thing. You need leverage. Okay. So earlier I used the Mario analogy, and what was missing was like, whoa, like Mario eats mushrooms to get bigger, right? So we forget that we actually need to take the steps, right? Use the frameworks to get to Muscle Mario, where you can just tear everything up, right? So look, little Mario, eat the mushroom, right? Follow the process, then you can do stuff like this. You can't just become buff, go from small to big the next day, right? You can't go from $1 to $100 million next day, because here's the thing, even if you can, easy come, easy go, your business is probably gonna go, right? It's not gonna work out for you just because easy come, easy go, right? It's to me, it's almost like better to take the long-term growth. Like every time I've tried something short-term, it has never worked out, at least for the long-term. Like, you want to talk about, Neil and I talked about like a long time ago when we were first starting in the world of SEO. Like, we would test out the black hat SEO stuff. And yes, like it would work. But what would happen? A month later, everything would be torched. You'd lose everything, okay? So always, 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 when you think about not just the context of SEO and content marketing, how can you do something that's long-term for the business? And earlier this week with the team, with the management team, I was just saying, hey guys, like, when we're thinking about making decisions, is it, are we just thinking about first order consequences? Or are we thinking about second and third order consequences as well? Meaning that, let's say, we decide to eat, chili cheese fries, right? Eat chili cheese fries, it tastes amazing, right? First order consequences is it tastes amazing. It's great, right? Second order consequences are like long-term, you're going to get fat if you keep eating stuff like that, okay? So not a lecture on food, it's just an example. But these kinds of business principles apply to marketing as well, because marketing is kind of a subset of business, right? So anyway, so when you guys think about different content out there, and I'm going to give you an example in a second. I'm going to show a video. And by the way, we'll talk about that in a second. But news websites, if you think about like New York Times, when you think about CNN, for example, they produce a ton of content. They get millions of visits. Most of us on this call, we don't have the resources to have a newsroom writing stuff all the time. We just can't do that. We cannot fathom pumping out that volume, right? So what I want you to pay attention to here is if you look at the y-axis, right, you got 0, 20, 40, 60, okay? Maybe I should go this side, yeah. 0, 20, 40, 60, because that's what you guys are looking at. So that is the traffic in thousands, right? So 20,000, 40,000, 60,000. You can see more or less when it hits pink, top right corner of this chart, it's about 80,000 or so, right? Which is not bad. Okay, we can see at least the traffic is scaling. Like you start from the very bottom, that's the foundation. You continue to add more content. Maybe I go this way. I think it's this way, right? Yeah, this way, right? And you keep adding more and more content. It's going to continue to scale, right? That's how you build a scalable infrastructure. But what you want instead is, because we don't have the resources, we don't have the newsroom resources, we need to think about evergreen content more and more. How can we create content that stands the test of time? So now you can see this goes from 80,000, instead of 80,000, it goes all the way up to 200,000, right? I think we can all say, like, I don't even need to ask you to raise your hand. Like, I think we all want this. You can raise your hand for bonus points, though. I'll pay attention to that. Thanks, Sam. Oh, thanks. Look at all the support. Look at all the love. This is great. So here is an example of top tier content, because I actually want to give you some videos. If you cannot hear, raise your hand, because I'm still kind of new to sharing videos on Zoom. So I'm going to mute myself here. Let me know if you can't hear, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at pieces of content that tend to do really well when it comes to Google.
So this is from one of our friends. His name is Backlinko, also known as Brian Dean. And he wrote this post about how he increases search traffic by 110% in 14 days. So if I just start scrolling right here, I start scrolling. You can see it's actually a couple thousand words, okay? Now, that's not the only example that we have right here. The earlier example we showed around the online marketing beginner's guide from QuickSprout. This is, again, the guide where Neil spent about $30,000 on this to get it well designed and well written. So here's the thing. This is the overview page right here, okay? And if we look at each one, let's look at the chapters. These are effectively able to stand on their own. Look at this. Look, it keeps going. This thing itself, each chapter is about a couple thousand words or so. Let's say 3,000 to 4,000 words or so. So that's an example of what epic pieces of content, skyscraper pieces of content look like. And you combine them together to make them a hub and spoke. And this is something that's actually evergreen versus something that is temporal. Temporal content might be something that you might see on, let's say, let's say search engine roundtable, seroundtable.com. So let's take a look at that really quick. So right here, let's click on the first update. You can see it's a very news-oriented website, and there's not that much text, right? It's only a couple hundred words or so. So most of you aren't able to produce the sheer volume of content that's coming out from a news site like this. But what you can do is you can create content like what Backlinko has done or what Neil has done. You can put in a lot more time into it, and then content pieces like this are going to rank a lot better for a lot of different keywords. We're talking hundreds of keywords, or in some cases thousands of keywords for just one piece of content. And so I recommend, if you're starting out, you go for something that has a lot more depth into it, put a lot more time into it, and then you're going to be able to reach out to people, and you're going to have a much easier time starting to build your audience. And this doesn't just apply, the concept itself doesn't just apply for blogging, it applies for other mediums that you might be looking at. So it might be podcasting, for example, might be videos, for example. How can you go about standing out from other people? How can you do something that will set you apart from other people? And that's what's ultimately going to help you win in the long term.
Okay, so I'm back. If you guys can hear me, raise your hand. Okay, great. So I know the audio is a little difficult there. It's a recorded video, but I thought, we kind of changed things up a little bit. But it sounds like I can only hear from the left side on that video, so I'll have to fix it for a future webinar. But so the main point is this, right? Always remember, it's more effective to retain customers than acquire new ones all the time. Same thing with your traffic too. So it's much easier to kind of make the most of what you have already, and then Google's going to reward you for that, right? Just think about it in that context, right? So I just said that right now. And so look, if you want to beat up green turtles like that, right? Remember, you start small first. Once you have things working, right? You level up to the next one, and then you start creating content, you start building links, and then you start making the most of what you have already. You start doing SEO experiments. You start kind of coming back in time, deleting content, upgrading content like the framework I just showed you. And then, you're going to be able to build something that's scalable. And instead of having the temporal content, you are going to be having something that's much more evergreen, okay? And you're going to be able to do stuff like this, right? So again, small, eat the mushroom, get big, right? Do cool stuff. So how long does this stuff all take? So we get this question all the time when we have people that want to work with us, for example, and they want to do the same thing. But it's like, typically we're talking it's a 6 to 18 month journey to really start to see the needle move. As long as you see your traffic start to compound, a lot of people, the problem with this is a lot of people are just impatient, right? They're just like, oh, I want to run paid ads. This is why I see paid ads courses on Facebook all the time. It's just like, yeah, you need to learn how to run paid ads. But you know what's funny? Nobody teaches stuff on how to build frameworks like this because they don't know how to do it, okay? I've actually seen nobody do it except for Brian Dean, Backlinko, okay? So what else can you do? Like I've shown you some stuff you probably know around it, but like, okay, well, how about this one? HubSpot's website grader, so they IPO'd a couple of years ago. They're a CRM, right? How strong is your website? It's a website grader that shows how well your website's doing. And it got a ton of links. It was one of their most popular tools. And so the question is like, how do you go build something like this? Most of you aren't going to have the resources like internally to build something like this. But I'm telling you, it's not that difficult to do it. Because if I look at, mortgage calculator, for example, it's 2.7 million visits a month, right? Look at it. This is the #1 ranking for mortgage calculator. It looks like it was built in like 1997 or something. Okay. And because it was #1, it had the first movers advantage. Naturally, just a lot of people started linking to it. And then I'm sure that site alone makes a ton of money right now. Okay. So my point in showing you this is that you can actually go to like Upwork, for example. You can go to TopTal if you want higher quality developers, but you can have them build a widget or a tool like this, or you can even use a tool like Outgrow to make calculators for you. And it's going to be more engaging for people. More people are going to link to it. I think they have an ROI calculator on our website, and it actually, like, we built it just for the hell of it, and it actually drives traffic. It actually drives free consultations. Okay, so look, reach out to people, build tools like this, or even better than that. Neil and I talk about on the Marketing School podcast. So a couple of years ago, I bought a website in a different niche, and I just redirected it, and I got all the credit for the links. I started ranking for all the different keywords. Literally, I told Neil about it. 2 weeks later, he decides, oh, you know what? I'm going to go buy Uber Suggest for $250,000. I never told him to do that, and I don't think a lot of us can relate to that. But look, he's on a buying binge now, and he credits me for just telling him that story. So, like, we'll see how that goes for him. I think it's going well right now. But my point is, you can either build your own widgets or tools, or you can go out there and buy these tools out there. And there's like website brokers out there all the time, like FE International, for example. So, you're doing the content stuff now. You're doing the link building stuff. You're starting to tend to your garden a little more. I've started to get you into that mindset. How do you continue to grow in addition to all the content and link building that you're doing? Go ahead and type into the chat right now. I'm just curious. How else can you guys grow your organic traffic, your SEO traffic, if you're already doing content and links? What can you possibly do? Okay, so Philip says match search strings. Doug Mitchell says new subjects. Okay, those are good. David, answer to your question is yes. And Jeff, I hope the audio is good again. Jeff Crawford from Japan, yes. Public speeches, yeah. Cool. So, okay, here's how you can do it. Google Search Console, right? Some of you might already know this already, but I'm going to show you a video on how you can do it. Yes, the audio is going to go down a little bit, but don't worry, you're going to get full Eric in a second. But here's how it works, and I'm going to give you kind of the key things you need to do to set up this framework. And I'm going to show you a new way to do it too, okay? So I'm going to mute myself. Raise your hand when you can hear the audio.
How we can use Google Search Console to basically allow us to run SEO experiments with our titles and meta descriptions. So I've logged into Google Search Console. Look at the left side over here. And within Google Search Console, the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the performance section. So we're in the performance section right now. And what you have to do is you have to click on, well, you have total clicks, impressions, and then make sure you click on CTR, okay? Next thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and click on pages. Okay, so this is one of our websites, growtheverywhere.com. We're looking at the last 3 months of data. And then what you need to do afterwards is you need to sort by impressions. Okay, so now what you're doing is you are looking for the pages that have a high impression count. Okay, that's what we're sorting from top down to a low. So you got a high impression count and then you have a low click through rate. So take a look at this one over here. This page is showing for 42,000 impressions per month, or actually no, this is in the last 3 months. Okay, so last 3 months, and it only got 6 clicks. So Google's showing us, but we're not doing the job of bringing people to the point of sale. Okay, so what you have to do now is you have to take this URL over here and then go to the right side over here, and then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this over here. So there you go. Let's move this over here, and then let's go ahead and delete this. Okay, so here's the clicks. We'll just look at the last 3 months. And then the impressions, 42,000. And then the date, let's just say it's June 30. Okay. And then change in clicks. Let's say, hypothetically, you created a new title, right? So right now, what we need to do now, we don't even know what the title is. So we're going to have to go to the page, actually. So let's see. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm going to open a new tab over here. And the title here is, well, let's just take this right here. Okay, that's the old title. Let's paste special. There we go. And the new title, let's just put how to use Google Keyword Planner. Okay, so that's like a new title. And then now we got to wait for, 30 days or so. Now, what's going to happen afterwards is you're going to continue to go back in here and then look for opportunities and continue to change. Now, you can see I'm giving you an example of a smaller website, but if you are a larger website, for example, let's say you're getting hundreds of thousands or millions of visits a month, or even 50,000 visits a month or so, when you start to do things like this, and they basically start to compound over time. So you got 6 clicks over here. Let's say, for example, you change the title and the clicks actually jumped up to about 400 or so. Huge difference, right? Change impressions, you're gonna have to do the math a little bit. So 400 minus 6 divided by 394. Or I'm sorry, it's 394 divided by 6. So it's a 65x increase, okay? So 65x. You just do that. That's your, and then you make it a percentage. So, I mean, this is how you can do it the free way, and this is a way that everyone can do it. Now, you can see that it's going to be a little tedious over time as you continue to do this, plus you need to set reminders for yourself to continue to do this. But over time, if you continue to look for opportunities like this one, let's look at another one over here. This one over here, I rank for a page on the complete guide to YouTube SEO. Let's go ahead and throw that in here as well. Okay, throw that in here, and then let's put in the metrics. So 31,000. All right, date is June 30. And then let's say hypothetically, we changed the title and it jumped up to about, I don't know, increased by 1,000 or so. Okay, and then change would be.
Anyway, you guys get the point, right? And you guys can hear me okay? Yeah, good. Real Eric's back. Okay, so I'm going to show you this really quick, and I'll kind of ask you a question around this. But it's basically what you do is make sure you have Google Search Console first, and then go to the Search Analytics section, hit Open Report, right? Make sure you select the things, total clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and then make sure you go to the Pages section, okay? And then sort top down by impressions, go to the click-through rate section, look for the click-through rates that are way below average. So for example, right here, we have this one on free SEO tools, and the click-through rate is just poor. Again, my point is, like, if Google's giving you impressions for it and you aren't doing a good job of getting people to click, that's ultimately whose fault, right? It's your fault. So I'm just showing you this so you can uncover those stones. And sometimes what we found is that you make a change and all of a sudden it goes from getting 1,000 clicks a month to 1,500 clicks a month, right? So it goes up by 50% just by making simple changes like this. Now, what you do is, again, you're going to look at clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and previous time period metrics, okay? And then what you're going to do, you're going to make a spreadsheet, okay? You're going to use a spreadsheet, URL, clicks, impressions, click-through rate, previous, right? Then you're going to make sure that you set some Google Calendar reminders for yourself so you or somebody on your team can get to it. So I'm just curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, those of you, put in the chat right now, how tedious do you think this is going to be? And how worth it do you think it's going to be? Type into the chat right now so I can get a sip of water. Okay, so let's see. Tedious, probably worth it. 4 and 10, easy to implement. Doesn't matter how tedious. If it works, I love that answer. For a small business, very tedious. Doug says very worth it. Very worth it, but time consuming. Not that tedious and effective. Seems like, so I think we're all in agreement that this stuff is worth it, right? Cool, worth it, there you go. So it's great. What happened was we've been doing this for a long time. You can see that we've been tracking like our sheets and all that. I'm going to share another video with you really quick, but there are some things that are lacking from it. So what we did, being in the marketing space, we decided to kind of scratch our own itch a little bit. So there are some things that are lacking from it, and we'll talk about that in a second. And to be frank, we've been doing it the old way. And what I want to do is I want to actually show you guys how to do it the new way. So those of you that actually want to see the new way, raise your hand, and then we can actually walk through that and then go from there. So we've gone through this. Everything's, we've been doing it by hand. There's a new way of doing things. So the tool that we have to kind of solve this issue, to make life a lot easier and also prove to stakeholders that this stuff actually works and it actually makes money, not just drive traffic, but makes money, is we created a tool called ClickFlow. And there's my mug. You can see double me, right? So I'm going to mute myself, and then we'll go through this really quick. It will be fast.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you can gain more organic traffic or SEO traffic without having to build brand new backlinks or write new content. So my name is Eric Su. I am the co-host of the Marketing School podcast and the host of the Growth Everywhere podcast, where I just like to nerd out on entrepreneurship and marketing. So let's jump into it. So first things first, this is a tool we created to scratch our own itch. This is a tool called ClickFlow. And it syncs up with Google Search Console, basically to look for pages that have a high impression count but a low click-through rate. Google Search Console kind of falls short. I mean, it is a great tool, but we've looked to enhance what it can do to help you from an SEO perspective. So if we take a look at ClickFlow over here, we can see that ClickFlow immediately, the top 4 boxes over here shows you over time how much traffic you gain, what CTR increase you got, which is your click-through rate, how many tests that you've taken and how many actually won, and how much revenue growth approximately you've gained from using the product. Now, you can look at the time period from a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, or a 1 year time period. And getting a little lower here, there's 3 tabs. There's running, completed, and suggestions. If you look at suggestions, what ClickFlow does is it takes a look at your average click-through rate for the top 100 pages or so. So you can see my average CTR is about 1.47% over here. That means I can set a target threshold that I want ClickFlow to aim for across my pages. So I can say I can aim for 2%, 3%, and if I want to get really ambitious like I am over here, I can aim for 6%. So your mileage may vary. You might be a site that has a 6%, 7% average CTR. Just depends on the niche that you're in. Now, once you set your target threshold, you can see that ClickFlow shows you the clicks you can gain, which is 20,000 over here, and how much revenue you can gain. The revenue is calculated by your conversion rate and not divided by, multiplied by your conversion rate and your average order value / lifetime value of a customer. That way ClickFlow can calculate approximately how much more money you can make. So this product is tied into, well, your revenues and your bottom line, which is great. So if we scroll down over here, you can see that ClickFlow is showing, well, we see this page over here, Google's giving us 10,000 impressions, but our CTR is 0.39%. That's really low. We can probably write a better title or a better meta description. And what I can do here is I can just select add tests. ClickFlow is showing I can gain 570 clicks here. I can just hit add, and then it will add the tests. And the great thing about adding a test is some of you that have really large websites, we're talking millions of visits per month, you can actually group your tests, group your URLs over here, and you're able to, let's say, for example, I wanted to test a group of the SEO pages that we have. Look, right here, I can do that. I can also take a CSV or a bunch of rows as well, put it in here, just makes your life a lot easier, and it removes the manual work. So you can see, if I look at this page over here, ClickFlow actually shows me over time how this page is doing, and it's going to record every single test. So when I run a test, I'm running a 15-day test. I'm looking at the past 15 days to the next 15 days, and basically you just need to write a different meta description or a title, and then from there, you are able to see whether your tests won or they lost. Right here on this specific page, I can see the top 50 keywords to give me more ideas to write a better title. I can see all the changes that's automated, and then there's a reporting section over here as well. The final thing I'm going to show you, we can see the completed tests I have over here. And you can see, as I scroll down, well, this one, how to develop and use buyer personas. So we scroll down here. I mean, this one had a couple wins. And you can see, as we scroll down even more, this one didn't do that bad either. We see that the clicks went up 37%, the CTR jumped up 24%. Without going too much into the weeds, this is what ClickFlow can do for you. It's gonna show you how much more revenue you can make. It's gonna help you save time. It's gonna make your life a lot easier, and you're not gonna have to write brand new content all the time. You just optimize what you have already. You're not gonna have to build backlinks. You're taking what you have already, and ultimately this is this is really for sites that have a larger volume of traffic. So if you think ClickFlow is a fit for you, just go ahead and reach out and we'll see if it's fit and we'll go from there. So hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, so how many of you actually want access to this thing? Cool. So look, I'm gonna talk through the features really quick and I'm gonna give you we'll talk about the access in a second, but think about it this way. When you're running A/B tests from a marketing perspective, you are, you're sending 2 different versions, right? You're splitting the traffic. Now, what ClickFlow does is we can call it pre-post. Pre-traffic and then kind of, post-test kind of thing, or you can call it AA testing because we're just looking at the before and after. But you look at this example right here. Again, best online marketing companies. We just changed the title. Click-through rate jumped up 12%, and then clicks jumped up quite a bit as well. These are the kinds of results that you're going to be looking for without having to make the changes all the time. We talked about group page testing too. A lot of our enterprise level mid-market clients are always looking for, doing things at scale. Here's how you can do it, right? You can organize things and not have to use an Excel sheet all the time. Important for stakeholders, important for CEOs. You got to look at the projections too. Is it worth it to make this change? How much more traffic I'm going to make? How much more money I'm going to get? And it's also going to show in the reports approximately how much more money you made from it using the product. Historical data too. Like all the changes that you've made on that page, it's all going to be in there. That way, again, you're going to prove that the work you're doing is actually working, and you're going to continue to do the same thing and hand it off to other people. Okay. Also, at the same time, what we found was that setting a Google Calendar was really difficult because it's like, well, if I do Google Calendar, it's like, I'm not going to always remember. So what we did is we started setting up email notifications too that shows you like how many tests that you started this month. We recommend you do at least 10 a month, how much more visitors you can gain from it, how many more months or days there are that are left in the month, and then the opportunities, the number of tests that started today. It's all in there. That way it's much easier for you to access, okay? Reporting, we talked about this. And then also like those of you that are thinking like, if I don't have the time to actually do this, how can we have someone help you? So if you don't have the time to do this, we have like a done for you SEO consultant in the box. That's a conversation for another time. But if you look at the very bottom over here where it says note from our experts, we can actually add in, right, examples for or recommendations for titles and meta descriptions that we think you should change, okay? Now, we also have a WordPress plugin that is in the works because about 50% of the customers are using WordPress right now. So that's all coming, right? And we also have a completely automated version coming as well. So what does it ultimately deliver? It gives you more traffic, time savings, less stressing, which I think is really good. We can all use a little less stress, and a simple explanation to stakeholders about what this SEO stuff actually does, okay? So numbers never lie. I mean, we look at the numbers right here. ClickFlow for this customer drove about 3,600 additional visits per month, right? This customer ran 43 tests, 38 of them actually won, which is great. Click-through rate went up 7%. This one actually jumped up 88,000 visits per month, which is huge. They did 100 tests, right? Success rates 82%, not bad. And then click-through rate jumped up 22%. And then finally over this one, 6,700, right? 100% success rate. These are the kinds of results that you can expect from using a tool like this, okay? So the ClickFlow value is $3,000. But if we gave it to you for free for 6 months, would that be cool? Yeah, good. Free. Cool. And not only that, we'll give you the enterprise version too that includes all the bells and whistles, which is basically, that's basically $500 a month times 6. That's where the $3,000 in value comes from. And it's not like we're making these numbers up. Look, our standard version, our premium version is $199. Enterprise starts at $500. We got people paying $3-4 grand right now per month. So it's a slick deal. Look, and part of this deal is that you're going to get ClickFlow for free for 6 months, enterprise version, right? It's all there. All the bells and whistles, group testing, reporting, everything, all there, okay? So you guys have been with me for what? I think 47 minutes, okay? 47 minutes of training with Eric Sue here. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Would it be cool if I showed you guys a deeper framework on how all this stuff works, right? The under kind of pinnings, the templates, the processes, everything we do as not just for ourselves, but for our clients as well, from an SEO content marketing perspective. Would that be cool for you guys? Cool. So I'm going to give you guys a map on how we built our content and our SEO systems. Okay, so step by step, I'm going to show you guys how to get there, right? So you guys don't have to go through the same things over and over and eat a bunch of, well, I'm going to give you another story in a second, but lose close to 7 figures based on one thing that I didn't do well, okay? So this is basically the same framework that we use for our agency. We use it for our clients. I talked about this a second ago, as if we're doing it for them, right? So basically the idea is that, we're able to deliver a very similar result for you guys without having to charge you what we charge agency clients, right? Like for Uber or Amazon, for example, it's not going to be cheap, right? So intention for you ultimately is to have you guys do it. And eventually, like if you guys want to come back and work with the agency, which some of you are already asking to work with the agency already, maybe once you execute on this, maybe come back and then we can talk about doing like an execution thing, like more done for you, right? This particular model we've created for you is more, you're going to be able to do it yourself, and then we're just going to give you everything you need to actually succeed, to start getting results, the same results that we're getting, right? So typical agency model, I told you guys that it's, we would be doing it for you. And look, we typically charge for a retainer, right? 10 grand a month management fee. And then that's not all. Like if you're running ads, it's going to be like a 30 grand, 40 grand plus that you need to pay in addition to that. So like a lot of you, I know a lot of you are starting out right now. That just doesn't make sense, right? So this is the done for you model. Doesn't make sense right now. Some people just aren't at that stage, okay? In some other cases, people are like, well, you know, actually somebody asked on this call, like, Eric, do you do any coaching, right? So I mean, we don't do like you know, one-on-one coaching per se, but in some cases, like we will actually do we'll actually run the strategy for you. We'll create an audit for you, and then there will be some kind of, you know, ongoing consultation, right? But that, you know, we call that the done with you offering. That's like $7,500 one time, right? And sometimes it becomes ongoing, like $7,500, and it's like, you know, $3,000 or $4,000 a month ongoing. Okay, that's still too expensive. Now, if you guys are looking to achieve the same results that we're looking to, we basically are able to do for our clients and ourselves, but at a much lower price, would that be worth it for you guys? I'm gonna get a drink of water while you guys answer that. Okay. Cool. So we're calling this the Traffic Builders Framework because everybody that's come into this training, I asked you guys before we even started, like we're all looking to build our traffic, right? We're all looking for ways, we're looking for frameworks on how to get there, which is why, like, as a marketer, I love it because people are sharing templates all the time, step-by-step checklists, all these different things, because I just look to learn from people that have done it already. And I'm looking to share this with you. Like, we've done it. You don't have to go through the same pain that we went through, okay? So what we're going to offer first that you're actually going to get in here, this course, we actually finished shooting it. It's going to be out August 7th. This course is called SEO That Scales. Okay, so chapter 1, it tells you about how SEO has driven incredible clients for us and how it all works, right? The foundations around it. And then chapter 3 is modern day keyword research. Chapter 4, combining content marketing and SEO. Chapter 5, off-page and on-page SEO. And by the way, like this stuff might look basic to you, but the fact of the matter is that we have, like I mentioned, the checklist and the templates, all that stuff that's in there, that's going to help you move a lot faster, okay? Chapter 6, SEO tools that will help you win. Chapter 7, more backlinking strategies. Chapter 8, local SEO. Chapter 9, YouTube SEO. Chapter 10, how do you actually scale all this stuff? Chapter 11, how you can actually get a job or client around SEO. Look, we've done it. Again, proof is in the pudding. Chapter 12, what's going to happen around the future of SEO? People talk about voice all the time. They talk about blockchain, to talk about AI, like where does it all play? Does that even involve SEO like in the current day? Like who knows, right? We'll talk about that in this chapter. Now, what you'll also get is building a brand through content marketing. So I talked about how Marketing School podcasts, like we're close to 700,000 downloads a month. My other podcasts, you know, on the YouTube channel too, like you combine all that stuff, about close to 100,000 a month. And then like our blog just continues to scale. Like, look, we do the same thing over and over. Like I have equity stakes into all these different companies because they come to us for this kind of help, okay? And you don't need to give up equity in your company. You don't need to pay us 30 grand, 40 grand. You don't need to pay us 7,500. It's not even gonna be close to that, okay? So you're gonna get introduction. That's kind of around the foundations, the fundamentals, right? Chapter 3, how you can actually get started with content marketing. And then we're gonna talk about the workflows, the publishing, and then really, really important, how do you actually make content promotion work? Because everybody out there on the net talks about how you can actually produce content, but like, what do you do after that? And that's something we've gotten really good at, okay? Chapter 6, how do you measure the ROI of content marketing? Oh, wait, didn't we have that conversation a little earlier? Here's how you actually do it, and here's how you actually prove it, and then actually go through the process of making it work. Chapter 7, this is the advanced stuff that I like, level 99 content marketing strategies, okay? So that's 2 things already that you're gonna get. Not only that, you're gonna get a 3rd thing over here. So the first 2 things about $997 value, this one's also $997 value, okay? What the heck does hiring have to do with all this stuff? It has everything to do with it. Because when you think about building your content team or your SEO team, I always talk about having, again, the right process, the right frameworks in there to follow. So in the A-Player Hiring Blueprint, you're gonna get the introduction to effective hiring, building your hiring funnel, how to effectively find rock stars, how to manage your talent pool like a pro, the first interview, and then the follow-up interviews and the decision. Like all this stuff seems like I should have known it when I first started hiring people, but I made such a bad hiring decision one time where I lost close to 7 figures and 2 people quit, okay? And 4 clients left and morale just dipped, okay? And ultimately that came down on me because I didn't have the right hiring process. Now, if you try Googling right now for hiring course or whatever, there's nothing out there. If you search how to hire, you're gonna get one 500-word monster article, monster.com article. That's all you're gonna get. So this is gonna be included in here, and it's gonna show you how you can go about getting the best people, because you can't produce a content machine just by doing it yourself. You can't do that. You got to figure out ways to scale. People say, oh, it's so unscalable. It takes so much time, whatever. Like, look, the fact of the matter is this content marketing stuff, traffic builder stuff, I should say, it works for us because we have built up the traffic where we can actually retarget people, and we build an email list in perpetuity, right? Let's say we get 100,000 visits a month and we convert at 5% on emails. That's 5,000 emails per month. On Facebook, you might be paying $10 per email, okay? So how much? That's 50 grand, okay? And over a year, geez, that's 600 grand saved, right? By building a framework like that, I'm not saying ignore paid ads. I'm saying use things in conjunction. What you see on these people doing courses all the time, it's just like they silo things out and they try to make things mutually exclusive. It's just not how it works. You set a foundation first with content, and then you go from there, okay? And this is how you do it. So you're gonna get ClickFlow Enterprise, that's 3 grand in value. Digital XP content marketing course, $997 value. Digital XP SEO, $997 value. The hiring course, $997 value. You're also going to get a ClickFlow Customer Success Manager, which is a $4,000 value. Total value of this is $9,991. You're not going to pay anything close to that, okay? It's called the Traffic Builders Framework. And just keep in mind, earlier, you guys all raised your hand, right? Earlier, I said, hey, would you guys pay 10 grand for $1 million or 100 grand? Everyone said yes, right? So look, you're not going to pay 10 grand, not even close. The price today for the Traffic Builders Framework is $2,000. Okay, so $1997, that's 80% off. And you just go to singlegrain.com/traffic. And here's the thing. We're actually going to take this down on Sunday because we're going to take the price up, actually. We're going to take the price up to $2,500 and then to $3,000. And we might increase it after that. So it's not like we're messing around, because I honestly think like this is one of those times where I'm like, man, I actually feel like we're giving way more value than we're actually like getting back, right? And I'm cool with that. Like, you guys are the first ones in here, right? This is literally the first time doing this training. So look, $1997, that is what the Traffic Builders Framework is. We are going to take it down as of, well, in a couple of days, right? So it's not going to last forever. And so ultimately, I mean, look, if you're ultimately looking to work with the agency and you don't have the cash to do that, this is a primer to get there. Because if you put in the work, our most successful clients, it's because they started doing this stuff first. They did the legwork, and then it was much easier for us to just jump into execution, okay? It becomes much easier once the heavy lifting has been done. And then also, like, when we go out there to implement this thing for this framework for people, I remember I flew to New Jersey last year, and we charged 15 grand for a 3-hour session, and I sat in there kind of teaching people this stuff, okay? So you are going to get the same result without spending nearly as much, okay? That's 7 times less, right? So here's who the Traffic Builders Framework is for. By the way, if you want to go get it right now, go to singlegrain.com/traffic. I'm not stopping you. But who it's actually for is for people that are committed to continuous improvement, okay? I think that goes without saying. It's also for people that understand the benefit of building an audience. Because what's happening right now is that you see Facebook and Google, they have all the attention out there. They have YouTube, they have Instagram, it's all there, right? Bill Gates said about 20 years ago, he said that the companies that are really going to survive are the companies that become media companies. This is why you see a lot of people out there talk about attention all the time. I've been fortunate enough to build an audience around marketing, and I see the value in having a brand. And I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it, okay? Now, if you, I mean, who else is it for? This is for people that understand that this stuff takes, look, I told you it's going to take, it is a journey, right? But if you are consistent with it, again, if I can make it work, you can make it work. It is going to take hard work, and it is going to take time to get there. And if you think SEO is important to you, and the fact that you joined an SEO webinar probably means SEO is important to you, then go for it, okay? Now, who this isn't for. If SEO isn't important to you, obviously, like if you're more focused around kind of affiliate, paid ads, fine, okay? The Traffic Builders Framework is not for you. Now, if you aren't already investing in content and SEO, probably not for you, okay? At least you want to get it going a little bit first. And if your goals aren't to get to 100,000 visits per month from SEO, probably not for you, okay? If you want to rely on paid, that's fine, right? But like I said, not mutually exclusive. And if you aren't willing to play the long game with this stuff, probably not for you, okay? And if you need a payment plan, I don't want people right now, especially at this price, where you need a payment plan to actually get access to this, because it means that you aren't at the right stage yet, okay? Like it's a harsh thing to say, but you're not at the right stage yet. And I think you should work a little harder first, and then maybe the next level up is getting the Traffic Builders Framework. And then after that, maybe going to some kind of strategy audit. And then after that, doing some kind of, done for you, right? I'm not saying it has to go through all us, but I'm saying that's the progression because we all get to play at the levels that our experience dictates, okay? That's the line I'm trying to use more. So my other question for you would be, if your organic traffic continues to compound at 10% month over month, what would that be worth for your business? So look at this really quick, okay? So if we think that our monthly traffic is 10,000 visits a month and our average order value is $100 and our conversion rate is 1%, well, that's not bad, right? But if we grow at 10% month over month, let's do the math really quick. So 10% month over month growth, okay? And you do that over a 12-month period, so it's compounded. And then you multiply that by 10,000, your traffic becomes 31,000, okay, at the end of 12 months. So if we just do simple math right here, 31,000 times 100 times 1%, that means you are adding $21,000, 384, $21,000 a month, or $256,000 for the year. So it's very easy to figure out for e-commerce, like these are the numbers, but if you're a lead gen business, think about how much a worth of a lead is worth, what your conversions are. But if you break down the math that way, that's how you can kind of break down a ROI around the traffic builders framework. So just taking that math right there, 128x ROI, who would not want that, right? So if your numbers are even better, like great, okay, it's gonna be much higher than that. So is the traffic builders framework going to work for you? Well, here's the thing. We go back to the graphs in the very beginning. Look, same playbook, traffic builders framework, 669,000 visits a month. This is organic. 45 million visits per month. This is our site. We're now at 120,000 visits a month. So I should probably update this slide. And now look at our podcast. Like time and time again, we've just done it over and over and over. Look, I'm trying to make it where there are no excuses, zero excuses not to pick up the traffic builders framework. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to make it completely excuse free. Okay. So look, Eric Hung has said that after using ClickFlow, he's increased his monthly visitors by 80,000 visits per month, and also using, the framework that we provided to him, okay? So we use this framework. Look, I'm beating a dead horse. We've done it over and over. It works, and it's something that's gonna do really well for you. And to make it completely excuse-free, look, 60-day action-based guarantee. If you complete all the courses, you've done the work, after 60 days, you feel like you haven't gotten the value in this, you haven't gotten the 1997 in value from the traffic builders framework, we will refund your money, okay? There's the money back guarantee right there, okay? 60 days, you have 60 days to go through everything and genuinely come back and say, 1997, I don't feel like I got the value. I have no problem returning the cash to you, okay? So the risk of not doing this is not starting to compound your results today because, right? The best time to get started, what's the quote? The best time to get started was yesterday. The second best time is today. Now, not controlling your own destiny. I mean, are you going to rely on paid ads forever? I see people getting banned. I see people not able to build something sustainable because they're just relying on paid ads, okay? Not building a business for the long term. You see all these people selling on Amazon all the time. And here's the thing. Amazon is going to come and eat everyone's lunch because they have all the data, right? Everyone's doing Amazon now, but they aren't building a brand. They aren't building a framework for traffic, okay? And the risk of not doing this is being too reliant on other channels for growth. You cannot do that in today's day and age. We're going to show you how to diversify it, okay? So the cost of doing this all on your own, you can definitely do it. You can figure things out. I mean, it took me a long time to figure this stuff all out. Money, okay? Having to spend a lot of money, lose your shirt, spending money on consultants, whatever it is exactly, and maybe they haven't been exactly vetted. The fact of the matter is you spent an hour with me on this, right? I'm kind of vetted at this point, I hope, fingers crossed, right? So money, time. I actually think this is more important. Maybe this should be number one. Time, like if I'm going to spend a year and maybe I spent $500 on a course or something like that, the time, the opportunity cost from not doing stuff throughout that year and losing all that time is worth way more than the money. Because money, like I can go out there and get money whenever I want. Like that's how I generally feel. Anybody can go out there and get money, right? The time, like you're never going to get that back, okay? Frustration, like, you're going to be pulling your hair out. Maybe all of a sudden you're bald, who knows, right? Frustration. Do you have the time? Can you afford to lose the money? Do you want to be frustrated? And then also feeling lost too, right? Again, we have the map, we have the framework for you. So final thing for you is, look, my question for you is, if all this did was give you a consistent source of relevant traffic, would it be worth it? And if all this did was gain you $100,000 in revenue, would it be worth the $19.97 that you'd be paying for it? Okay. So ultimately what you're trying to build is a sustainable system, evergreen content. You're tending to your garden. You're making the most of what you have already, okay? And so remember, look, it costs 6 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer versus retaining a customer. It's the same thing with content SEO, same thing, okay? And we're gonna give you the framework on how you can do all this stuff the right way. And look, ClickFlow I showed you earlier, Search Console I showed you earlier. Do you have the time for this? Do you have the time to like record everything like that? Like reminders and all that stuff. Do you really have the time for that, okay? If you're just starting out, definitely do it manually. If not, I mean, look, if you have employees, you have a team that you're building, do you really have the time for this? So look, final recap, ClickFlow Enterprise, $3,000 value, Digital XP Content Marketing, $997 value, Digital XP SEO, $997 value, Hiring Course is $997 value, ClickFlow Customer Success Manager, $4,000 value, total value is $9,991. Your price is $1,997, 80% off. And I'm telling you, in the next couple of days, we are taking this down. It's gonna be gone. You get a couple, I mean, look, I'm not even lying when I'm saying it is coming down and the price is going to change. And I feel like this is just such a good deal where I'm like, man, I kind of want to buy it, right? Final thing, look, here's the like 0 excuses now. If you ultimately want to work with Single Grain as an agency, if you get the Traffic Builders framework right now, we will credit the entire amount back to you once we start working together. So this thing basically becomes free, okay? So this is like, man, I don't even know what other excuses can be made now, but like, that's a pretty good deal, okay? So obviously, because I'm saying that too, but like, look, get it today. It's not going to last. We are going to be taking the price up to $3,000, probably even higher than that. Go to singlegrain.com/traffic. And I'm going to, look, I'll tell you what, I'll hang around for 5 minutes just to answer some of your questions. And then I got to go. I actually got to run to the office because, we've got some stuff to do and it's actually getting kind of warm in here. So let me see what questions we got. Brandon Stapper, you are welcome. Oh, cool. There's no questions. I hope you all enjoyed this. We will think about getting a replay up. Email me, eric@singlegrain.com if you have any questions. I hope you guys come into the Traffic Builders framework. And God, I just feel like it's such a good deal. And I think it's going to help you guys grow. So look, let me know if you have any questions at all. Ping me. I don't know, add me on LinkedIn, whatever. And I will see you guys another time. Catch you later.